Hey everybody, welcome to Conscious Collaboration Cafe. I'm your host Kristen Valus, and I'm excited today because we're going to be diving into the Akashic Records. What are they and how can they help us live a more full life? And so I've brought with me here today Akashic Records expert, Kasia Rachfall. And she's an amazing and very well-versed guide into the Akashic Records. And so I'm really excited to have her explain all of this to us. I personally don't know a lot about them yet. And it's been something that keeps popping up into my awareness. So I thought I would bring her on today to share with us a little bit more about that. So welcome, Kasia.
Hi, Kristen. It's so good to be here. Thank you.
It's great to have you. So let's just dive right in. Like, tell us what the heck are the Akashic Records? Because I had never even heard that term until I think I heard it once years ago, and I wasn't tuned into it, so I just didn't. It kind of just flew by, and then recently it's been coming back into my awareness more and more. So why would that be happening, and what are they?
That's a really great question. The Akashic Records just basically are the cosmic library of the universe. So it's like a living library where anything that happens or has happened and all the potentials of what may happen is written in this energy field called the Akash. And we can learn to access our own Akashic field or the Akashic field of someone that we want to read for, or even a business or an event. And that really just takes practice. I also have noticed that the records have become more prominent for a lot of people. I think, like, my own personal theory is because humanity is asking more questions about creating change, really creating change from that heart place, not just changing things for our benefit, but creating change for the benefit of all. And of course, if we tap into our source, right, if we are really led by the heart, spirit answers. And the Akashic field is one of those information fields where we can access information about our greatest potential. So if we create from that place, I think it's only natural that more people will be hearing about it and wanting to access. That's my theory.
That makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Now I got the echo, so let me know if it's echoing at your end. It's very strange. And if you're tuned in and listening, let us know if you're hearing any sound issues so we can try and adjust. But welcome to anyone who's watching right now with us live, and please feel free to type into the comments section if you have questions for Kasia, if you maybe have a question for the Akashic Records and want to see if that's something that she can access right now for you to guide you through. I'm sure she'd be happy to do that. Yes.
Yeah. If anyone wants to, it's interesting working with the records. I've been working with the records for almost 6 years, and it's an interesting energy to sit in. If I'm trying to think and be in a place of, answering questions just from me, then I can't always answer through the records because it's just a different mind space, right? But if we have time, if someone does have a question, I can definitely see what happens. Shift gears a bit.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great, because it'd be kind of cool to see the process if that's possible to do in the live interview. But yeah, so tell us a little bit more about what drew you to the records and how long have you been working with them, and how has it impacted your life?
It's been probably the best education in terms of how the universe works and how to not just finish healing, but also co-create life and co-create my reality. And also, obviously, I do this as a coach with my clients as well. So I found the records kind of like you, where it kept popping up. And at that stage in my life, 6 years ago, I was still trying to heal from some shame and trauma and pain that I carried. And although I had studied all kinds of modalities and even been certified in many different things and kept chipping away at my own problem, I couldn't quite get to the root of why I felt the way I felt. Like, why was I carrying this shame? And my struggle was specifically with becoming a mother. And, I've shared my story in other places, so I won't necessarily share the details, but I kept hearing this Akashic. I was like, fine, what is that? Like, I learned to listen to those nudges from the universe where it really felt like the next breadcrumb for me. And so I had a couple readings with a couple different readers, really didn't enjoy the experience both times. So I was like, fine, I'll just learn to do it myself. And so I studied with a teacher and learned how to do it myself, and never intended to use the records in the way I use them now, where I would work with other people. I just wanted to finish healing. I was so done trying all these different things. Like, I just wanted to be done. And so through the practice of reading for myself and working with that energy, from start to when I finally got like the result that I was looking for, was probably about 5 months, because I was so new to it, and was able to get the root, right? The story that of how this pain started and how it was assisting my soul's growth, and was finally able to let that go and really move into just being me, like remembering more of me and why I'm here, and was really able to rebuild my relationship with my children. And so to me, working with the records, like, it changed everything. It absolutely changed everything, because I went from being someone who was usually prone to depression, and in the more distant past, even like suicidal depression because of this, to someone who doesn't have that anymore. And it doesn't mean that I don't get sad or have bad days, but it's not that bad, right? It's I don't go there anymore, and I'm able to just like live my life and even step into more happiness and joy and just like have fun. Whereas before I couldn't. It just was something I felt incapable of doing. So I was like, great, healing's done, perfect, done. I can go back to my coaching practice. But the records had a different plan for me. And in a client session one day, I sort of got that nudge to open up the records for my client. And here we are, 6 years later, I'm still working with this energy. And because of my own dedication and obsession, I tend to dive into things like head first until I know as much as I can. I've read a lot of books, learned about the quantum science of the records, and was given my own key to enter. And then now in January, I'll be teaching my own certification and immersion course for others for how to read the records for themselves and for their clients. So I'm super excited about that.
That is really exciting. There's so many things that you said in that. So I'm trying to, remember everything that I was like, oh, I want to ask her about this. I want to ask her about that. But you were saying how, you were dealing with a lot of personal struggles, and the records really helped you overcome them. Can you give an example of like, what did you access in the records that would have helped you like overcome depression or something?
Yeah, obviously I'm not a doctor and I don't diagnose or anything like that. But I've studied a lot of mind science, and from my understanding, there's many different theories out there about emotional mastery and how to feel safe in our bodies and stuff like that. For me personally, just the nature of who I am, I like to understand certain things about myself. And so working with the records, one of the biggest things I learned was how to ask powerful questions. And my background in neurolinguistic programming, working with powerful language, really helped me in this, because I was able to ask in such a way that allowed me to understand, okay, so why do I carry this pain? And what I was shown was a past life in this case. It's not always a past life, right? It's just because we have a struggle in life, I want to underline, it is not always a result of a past life. Sometimes it's, current life things or other things. But in this case, for me, it was that. And it allowed me to sort of understand what had happened in that incarnation and why I had made the decisions that I had made in that lifetime, and how they carried over into this lifetime, and what was happening, not just for my soul, but like my husband and my children, and how they were holding space for this to heal in me. So for me, what created the difference was being able to have that mental understanding of like, oh, that explains a lot. And then once my mind felt safe, right, once I had that information, I was able to do the other healing work that I needed to do in order to clear my body, clear those belief systems, right, and then no longer have to access those depressive states. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I don't know if you, but we have a question coming in. Tori, that says, so are we able to access details of our own past lives in the Akashic Records?
Yes and no, depending. And again, like I'm only one practitioner, one reader, right? And so the way I work with the records, the way the records have taught me is, yes, sometimes the result of a pattern or a pattern that we have in our life, whether it's a struggle or, you know, a success, is the result of a past life. However, the way that the records typically work is we don't just go in there and ask like, so what past lives have I had? Because that doesn't necessarily add value to our growth or our life. If you're curious about just, you know, whatever past lives, then past life regression through hypnotherapy would be a better option. But what I found is if you have, you know, certain specific patterns in your life or struggles or challenges, especially, sometimes they can have root in a past life, and that's where the records are really brilliant at that. I hope, does that answer your question, Tori?
So let us know in a second. Let us know if you can hear that on your end. Anyway, so let's see, what else did I want to ask you? So on that same note, so can we ask the record something like, there's this whole thing about, oh, she said yes, that does answer her question. There's this whole thing about if there is a little background noise. All right, I'm going to see if I can fix that. But in the meantime, what I wanted to ask you was, like, there's this whole thing that some people are saying, oh, JFK Jr. isn't really dead. Like, can we ask the records if he's really dead or not?
Again, it depends on the intention behind the question. Because, you know, one thing I've learned through the records too, through my work with it is there's different aspects of our soul. There's different aspects of our physical bodies. So does it matter if he is or he isn't? Like, why would that be important to my life, for example? Does it impact my life? And so again, this is where other readers may work with this information field differently. For me, if it's not pertinent to what you are trying to achieve for yourself in your life, I won't get that information. It's not like it. The other thing too is it's not a fortune telling type technology, I suppose you could call it. It's an information field where you can access your highest potential. So for someone who may have been connected to JFK Jr., whose energy was entwined with his, and for who maybe a member of his family, for example, or I don't know, employee or whatever, like his staff, if that mattered to them and if they were tied to his energy in such a specific way that they would be able to get that specific information where it would matter, yes, we could. But again, this isn't about like trying to prove something or trying, do you know what I mean? Like, at least that's what they've taught me is it has to be pertinent to you. Just like I couldn't just access someone's random record, especially someone who is alive, because there's a permission, right? I have to have permission from someone to access their records. So we could technically go back and look at records of past people who have been alive or past events. But again, it's like, I have never tried to like just ask and explore just for fun. Maybe that's, again, just because I don't care. I don't know.
Well, I wanted to bring that up because I feel like there's a certain level of integrity to the records, and like you were saying, there's a level of, I don't know how to say this, like I don't want to say protection, but privacy, like spiritual privacy around certain things that aren't ours to know, that we don't have any business in or whatever. So that people understand that that's there, that that's part of the records, that this isn't just a free for all. Like, it is a library of everything, but it's not like your public library where you can just look at anything that's in there.
Exactly. And the one ironclad rule, and I've asked about it again as I'm going to be going into teaching my certification courses, we are not to read for anyone under 18. And I was like, okay, well, cool, I'll stick with that. But why is that rule there? And really what I was told is to protect the sovereignty of that soul. Because I know 18 seems kind of an arbitrary age, but in most countries, I think 18 is like the age of majority, where at least in some respects, you have more autonomy over decisions over yourself, whereas under 18, you technically don't legally. And so, as a parent or as an aunt of someone, you could have a reading for them, and then that could influence how you react with, or how you interact with that person. So that is like the one ironclad rule. We do not read for anyone under 18 to protect their sovereignty.
That's so interesting. It makes a lot of sense, but I wouldn't have even thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. So tell me a little bit about how, or basically what you're going to explore in the certification course. And can someone who, like me, doesn't know much about the records at all, like just jump right into a certification course, or is there something more that you would recommend they do before maybe considering that, or, what is that all about?
These are great questions. And this is the second time I'm teaching the course. The last time was 2 years ago, but it's very different now, because last time I was only teaching how to read for yourself, which then gave you basically the license to go forth and read for yourself and learn what you want to learn about yourself. This time, over the last 6 months, I've been literally downloading information, usually at 3 a.m. from the records, saying, here's what we're going to do this time. We're going to get this information out into more people's hands. And you don't need any experience with the records necessarily. Obviously, you would want to at least have basic understanding of what energy is, or the fact that there is this thing called energy, intuition, right? Probably have some sort of a experience practicing for yourself, listening to that inner voice. The course does not teach how to break open your intuition, or what energy is necessarily, right? That's just not my strength. So the course is going to take you from A to Z, even if you're new with the records, from the perspective of, here's what the records are. Here's how you read for yourself. And for the first 4 months, because it's a 6 month long immersion, the first 4 months is spent learning for yourself. So I give you the key and teach you how to enter, and we're going to take the 4 months to really clear up our own energy field, our own belief systems, and any resistance we might have to working with this energy, including clearing the body. So the course is structured in such a way that you don't just get the theory of, this is what the records are, this is the quantum science behind it, this is the nature of the soul, this is like, how the spectrum of energy work, why you can access potentials, or how you can access information about struggles. So we look at all of that over those 4 months. You also get live practice in the course, where we come together, especially in the masterminding calls, and everyone sits with their records open and we dive deeper. So if something comes up, you get to practice right there and then, receiving information for yourself to see and to really hone in on the difference between, like I call it, the voice of the record keepers compared to anything else that's in your mind, right? Any other voice that might be in your mind in terms of conditioning or past successes, failures, that sort of thing. And that sets you up, that discernment and that comfort level with your own records will then set you up for the last 2 months of the course, where you learn how to read for others. And, I bring in a bunch of other, ground rules, practices, healing steps or healing practices that you could then take a client through. So if you don't have if you don't have this as a modality that you want to that you currently use with someone in your practice, in your client practice, because most of my clients are entrepreneurs or creatives, you would walk away with being able to take someone not only through a reading, but especially if they come to you with a struggle, you would be able to take them through, a series of steps where they could really step into healing and then step into co-creation of potential. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much for running through that, because that does make a lot more sense. And I think that it's really cool that you spend all that time focusing on the self first to really gain a solid understanding before moving into how do you read for other people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds really awesome. So how can people find out more about the details of your course? Is there a link that we can give them? And
yeah, so everything's detailed on my website, and because I have such an interesting name, I'll let you put the actual link in the comments or something, Kristen, so that I don't have to spell it out. But it's kasiarachfall.com/akashic-records-certification. If you have any questions, like if especially if you're really considering this and you're curious but you're not sure, there's a link on that page to have a call with me, because I realize it's a commitment, not just time, but it's an investment, right? And there is an early bird investment up until December 31st of this year if you want to sign up. I want you to be sure that this is a good fit for you. And the best way to do that is just to have a conversation. I mean, I have a lot of information on that page. There's a bunch of videos answering frequently asked questions and stuff like that. But there's nothing like just having a chat. We can hop on a Zoom call for 20 minutes and just iron it all out so that you feel confident that it either is for you or it's not for you. So yeah, please just reach out if you want to.
Awesome. And we'll put all the definitely under the I put it in the description, but if it doesn't show up on Facebook, I'll make sure I add it under the video. And it's already in the description for YouTube, so we'll have all of that there for you guys. You also have another option for exploring the records on a little more basic level to get your feet wet, which is your, I'm sorry, I forget what you call it, but you have your Akashic Records Circle or something?
Yeah, so that's a membership site that I run, and it's called the Akashic Records Alchemy Circle. And the format of that is basically, Facebook just makes it easy to host a group, right? So once you're enrolled, you go into the Facebook group, and every week we have a Q&A session with the records. So I put up a post, you ask your question, and then every Wednesday I come on live and I answer questions through the records. And then on Thursdays, we have a live call where whatever comes up in terms of resistance or challenge through the answers, like yesterday, what came up, I actually made a note somewhere over here because often I will forget. Yesterday, what came up was people pleasing and focus. So that's what we're going to be clearing today in terms of the actual physical body. We're going to be clearing that in the membership site, again, through a live call where I just lead you through an elemental balance where you can release that resistance from the body and then just have more clarity so that, whatever actions or choices that you feel like you want to make as a result of what the records told you, you can make that more easily. So again, I don't know if you put the link to that, but the information on that is also on my website. And I'm having a lot of fun because what gives the records power is asking a really powerful question. And when you can ask a really powerful question and you are truly open to receiving the answer that you need, that gives me the power to then gather really good information for you. And yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And how, like, you still see it on your face and in your energy and everything. And I know when you and I first talked about the records, like that was what really drew me to you, you know, because you were using a lot of other different modalities, but I'm like, no, I really think it's about the records with you. So it does really come through, and I love that about you. And if there was one other frequently asked question that you get from people that maybe we haven't covered today, what would that be, and what would be the answer to it?
That's a good one. I think the most common question I've gotten over the last 6 years that I've worked, you know, publicly with the records is, what's my purpose? It's this, I don't know, we want to know so badly, right? And the records will inevitably give this answer. We have two purposes, at least two. We have our soul purpose, which really is to thin the veil between our human self and our soul. And so if you agree that soul is absolute love because it resides in source, then as your human self, are you getting closer to that absolute love for yourself and for others, or further away? Right? So that if you're getting closer to absolute love for yourself, then you are fulfilling your purpose, right? Like check, you're done, you're good. Then there's your human purpose, which is literally whatever you want it to be. And when I really got that message, when I embodied that, it gave me permission to not be so hard on myself, to not be so, I must figure this out, right? I have to do the right things. Your human purpose it's like whatever lights you up. If you are here to be a dentist and you want to be the best dentist ever, or the best artist ever, or the best healer, or whatever it is, as long as you are doing that from that place of love, then you are fulfilling your purpose. And so I find that answer often takes so much pressure off of whoever asks that question, whoever hears it, because it's not just like, it's not so black and white. And the records will never tell us what to do, ever. Like spirit will never tell you what to do, because that would infringe on your free will. And so as long as you are loving yourself, right, to the best of your ability, and you are doing what lights you up to the best of your ability, like take the day off, give yourself some space, give yourself a pat on the back, you're doing it. So that's like, I would say that people want to know that more than anything else.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. It really does. In all of the circles that I'm in, I hear that question over and over and over again, and I've asked it myself so many times too. Am I on track? You know, absolutely. Well, Kasia, thank you so much for coming on today and explaining the records to us and sharing all your wisdom. We so appreciate you.
Thank you. I just, like you said, this lights me up. This is my human purpose. And so I so appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit more about it.
Thanks. Well, we're looking forward to hearing more and more from you as time goes on. And Tori is saying, oh, wow, what an amazing conversation. Thank you. You're welcome, Tori. Thank you. Thank you for joining us and for interacting and asking questions. We love when you do that. And join us next time on Conscious Collaboration Cafe for another riveting conversation about something that will expand your consciousness. And have a great day, guys.